uh, Google Meets. I'm not that savvy with, so I'm gonna ask my team to help me out here. I know there says there's 28 people. Here I only see 9, but I'm going to assume 28 people are here. Yeah?
We're all here, Counselor.
All right. All right, so welcome. I am really excited to hold space with you all, and I really do appreciate everyone who has signed up to go on a journey with us. And when I mention it as a journey, it really is an opportunity for us as a city, from across the entire city of Boston, different neighborhoods, different districts, to really have an opportunity to work in collaboration with one another around an issue that we all can agree on needs our undivided attention, and that is the quality of life for us. No matter where we live, there is something that we can all tackle together. So before I get started, I wanted to pass on the mic and give an opportunity. I do believe we have 2 of my colleagues here, and if not both, maybe one. I know I saw Councillor Flynn, and I believe Councillor Pepin sent someone from his office because he had an emergency that he needed to attend to this evening. So I'm going to ask my colleague, Councillor Flynn, I'm going to turn over the mic to you. Okay. Well, am I just joking? Is Councillor Flynn? Councillor Flynn, are you here?
Well, I don't see Counselor Flynn on the list, but I think there's someone from his team here.
Oh, he was here. He probably got lost in cyberspace. Well, I will speak not on his behalf, but I will acknowledge that Councillor Flynn represents District 2 and has been one of the, I would say, the most vocal as it relates to the quality of life issues, specifically the new emerging quality of life issues impacting Back Bay, downtown, South Boston. And in the spirit of working in collaboration with our colleagues earlier this summer, we brought Councillor Flynn and Councillor Pepin the mix to work in collaboration with us on this quality of life. And he is dedicated and committed to making sure that as a committee, as a task force, that we are all working across the number of different spaces and places.
I'm sorry. I think somebody is on mute, and I heard like size conversation. Oh no, it's me. Yeah. Thank you.
No, you heard it. I heard it too, but I wasn't sure if it was just my bad internet. And Kiara, I'm going to assume that Google allows you to mute individuals. I know Zoom does. They're never gonna,
yeah.
You guys are never going to come back to us. They're going to be like, okay, come back. Can we mute people on Google?
Yeah. I made sure that everyone other than you is muted.
Okay.
We should be good now.
Okay, but I want to note for the record that you will not remain mute under my watch. And if you choose to say something, that we will unmute you, and we have the ability to do that, right? Like, can y'all raise your hands here? Can y'all? How do I know that people want to talk? Who does that?
I think we can unmute ourselves too. So
yeah, everyone should be able to unmute themselves. It's just that we can hit a mute everyone button if there's background noise. But I see multiple people are raising their hands here. Are you able to see that?
Okay. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, this is so beautiful. And that I love that Ashley just came through and let me know that, I could hear that people can speak when that's good. I'm so glad that you have that feature, because I do not want you all to feel like y'all can't speak if you need to, because this is, after all, a community task force and we need to hear from people. Okay, great. Thank you for that intervention. I appreciate it. And I do want you all to come back, and I don't want this to be held against us. This is our first time interacting this way. So, well, not first time. I've done meetings like this before, but Google is a new environment for me. I don't use it that much. Okay, so I know Counselor Pepeng, I believe somebody from his team is here.
Yes, sorry, Counselor Mejia. It's Diana Bronchuk. So hopefully I'm good enough to be here. But hello, everybody. Diana Bronchuk, she, her pronouns, Chief of Staff for Counselor Pepen for District 5. Apologies, the counselor is handling a family emergency at the moment, but thank you all for being here and your time, your love, and your energy around this and trying to come together as a community to enhance the quality of life. And thank you, Counselor Mejia and your team, for organizing.
No, thank you. And you are more than enough. I don't ever want to hear you ever question that. And so we really do appreciate you being here. We know how hard the counselor works on issues of quality of life. And so having you here means a lot to us as the Chief of Staff. You are his direct, eyes and ears. So we appreciate you being here. Okay, so in the interest, and I know that we had a few originals, that's what I'm calling them. And I believe that Gail had a hard stop, right, Kiara?
Yeah, before we move on to them, I do want to acknowledge that Melissa Lowe from Counselor Flynn's office is here, so she would like to say a few words and introduce herself.
Oh, yeah, great.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Counselor Mejia. Thank you so much for hosting this and organizing this task force. We're so honored to be a part of this and to be able to be with you and learn from you and to come up with strategies to problem solve in a collaborative manner. So thank you so much again, Kiara, for everything that you have done and for organizing this. Thank you so much, Counselor Mejia, and everyone else who are here. We value your input and I look forward to learning from everyone. Thank you.
Yes, great. Thank you. And someone is asking questions that I don't have answers to. Kiara, did you see the question about whether or not people can see who's in the chat? I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Ashley probably knows, because Ashley seems to know a lot about Google.
So I believe they're asking if they're able to see everyone who is in the meeting on their screen. If that's what you are asking, then by clicking the 3 buttons at the bottom menu, once you click that more options button, it should say change layout. And then from there, you can choose how many like little squares of people that you want on your screen. And so you can see everyone in the meeting all at once. I hope that answers your question. If not, please let me know and I could help you out.
Oh, I just did it. Okay, guys, if I could do it, I know y'all better know how to do it, okay? Because Ashley probably already knew how to do it. Probably had everybody already there. I am figuring this is being recorded too. Norm, I hope you come back.
Sorry, Counselor.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to let everyone know, just give you all a reminder again. I know that I mentioned this in the email, but right now this meeting is being recorded and hopefully no more tech issues, and we're able to upload this video onto YouTube so that everyone can see it and everyone can be part of this discussion. As I mentioned, this video will be uploaded to YouTube, and then people can respectfully post comments and just have conversations with each other about these quality of life and community safety issues that we're having, so that we're involving everyone in the city, not just task force members or people that are in this meeting. So I wanted to just remind you all that this is being recorded. So if that's something that you're not comfortable with, please feel free to turn off your camera or just put it in the chat or something and we can help you out. Thank you all so much.
Yes, I do appreciate that reminder. And if for those folks who are not camera ready or do not want to be on camera or do not want to be associated with this task force, make sure you go off camera right now and don't speak while you're here, because we're going to go public with this. And all of these bloopers are going to go viral because we were figuring things out as we go. So thank you, Kiara, for that. I know that Dr. Gail Crump-Swaby has a hard stop. And then I know that we wanted to introduce a few of the folks that had were panelists when we first embarked on this journey. So I wanted to give an opportunity to Dr. Crump-Swaby, if you are still here. If you could just briefly introduce yourself and who you are and what you do and why you're here, aside from me telling you to be here.
Unfortunately, Dr. Gail Crump-Swaby had to leave,
Yep.
But I did ask her to just give me a little something so that I could share with you guys what she does. Her area of expertise is around mental health, specifically focusing on the impact of trauma and using a trauma-informed lens to heal the community. So she is someone that will be involved with the task force, just sharing her expertise. Unfortunately, the other two experts that we have in here, they weren't able to make it, so they're not in here. I don't know if you would like to give them little introductions, counselor.
Yeah, so did you put it somewhere who those two are? I know there's Josh, Detective De La Rosa, and Elizabeth Madaro. Are those the two that you are referring to, so that I know what you're referring to? Okay. So Officer De La Rosa has been one of our thought partners and has been working in collaboration with our office around issues of quality of life. We know that it can't just be politicians doing this work and community residents, that we need all hands on deck. And we wanted to make sure that we had a mental health clinician, because some of this could be traumatic for some folks. We invited Officer De La Rosa, because of his work in the community and also trying to have a different lens in terms of how we approach some of these issues. And then Elizabeth Amadaro is a community activist and has been really engaged with the community, specifically the community that has those loud parties, the ones who are riding around in the mopeds, the ones who are coming from different parts of the world and needing to learn how to acclimate to the new world that they're living in. And so she has been really helpful in this journey and helping to be not so much a translator just from the language perspective, but also cultural. And so she has also been able to provide us that thought leadership. And so they have been working alongside our office with Councilor Flynn and Councilor Pepeng and I in helping to shape kind of what this work could look like from very different perspectives, so that we're not just sitting in our offices thinking that we know it all. Like, we don't. We wanted to work with folks who have been doing some of this work from different spaces, and then trying to formulate kind of what our time as a task force could look like with some of their feedback. But as we transitioned into a larger platform and creating this task force, I'll give you a little bit of background, and then I'm going to kick it over to Kiara, because at the end of the day, people say that young people are our future. I say that they're not our future, they're our present. And as you could see, Kiara has been holding it down. She organized all of this, and she recently graduated from BLS, and now she's at UMass and knows more about all of this than many of us here. And I wanted to just acknowledge that she will be the point person helping us with this, the work together. So I'm going to give her an opportunity to speak, but just giving you some framing here. For like maybe 4 years ago, there was an issue around fireworks in the city of Boston. I don't know if you remember, during COVID, those fireworks were keeping people awake at all hours of the night. Our office, we took a community-centered approach to dealing with this issue. We hosted a town hall where we had over 450 people who showed up. We created a citywide task force, involved the city in that work. And through that work, we were able to develop a series of PSA campaigns. We thought about ways that we can help educate people that were causing the harm. How do we help educate folks who are being impacted by the harm? How do they organize? So we did all of this work. I'm not going to say because of that, you didn't hear the fireworks going off, but we did make an impact. And when we started to see an uptick in quality of life issues, now quality of life could be anything, but what we've learned is that anyone that we're going to define what quality of life is in a minute, but what we wanted to do is tackle the issues of the mopeds, the parties, the pedestrian hazards that we have been experiencing here in the city of Boston. We wanted to bring people together across the entire city around a number of different issues, not just things that were impacting certain neighborhoods. We felt like taking a citywide approach to this will really help us really think outside the box, number one, and number two, create some strategies that everyone could like rally around, and maybe we can use this work to then propose policies, protocols, and procedures that the city will adopt to help address some of these issues. So we hope that your time with us, it's not just meeting for the sake of meeting, but that we'll walk out of here with tangible things that we can organize around and actually do. My hope is that's where we go. And so that is the vision of what we're trying to do as a collective. And we know that working in groups, things can always be messy, and we like that because we believe that in the mess is where we can find some clarity, and not everyone is going to be in agreement, and we're okay with that. We had an overwhelming response of folks who wanted to participate. So in the interest of making sure that we had representation from all across the city, and so that it's manageable, we also, I think some of you, oh, Councillor Flynn came back. I can see it. It popped up on my screen, y'all. I just know I can see stuff. That we have folks who are going to be part of the task force, and then we have alternates. But what we want to do is create as many pathways for people to be engaged in this work. But we do have a steering committee of sorts that is going to help guide the work. So just wanted to clarify that. I know some of you all received task force member emails and that some did alternate. So I just wanted you all to understand the construct in which we're operating here this evening. And I got really excited because I saw Councillor Flynn pop up. It said Edward Flynn, so I'm going to assume it's Councillor Ed Flynn that's here. Yes. So we want to say hello.
Well, good evening, everyone. Councilor Mejia, it's good to be with you. It's good to be with the residents across the city as well. Thank you for bringing us together to discuss critical issues, public safety, quality of life. These are issues that impact every neighborhood. I just want to say thank you, Councilor Mejia, for the incredible work that you are doing in bringing people together in addressing these issues, but also working closely with residents and city departments to address these. And just want to acknowledge your important leadership. And I'm here to listen and to learn from residents across the city and in my district as well.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. We're really excited to have you here and appreciate your time and energy. I know you probably are bouncing all around the city, and so it means a lot to us. So I'm going back to, because I want to make sure that I'm honoring our time together and make sure that I am sticking to the time frame, because I know I have bounced all over the world in our short time together. But I think we've already addressed the why we're here and what we hope to do in our time together. Before I move on to introducing you all to our Kiara, wanted to know if anyone had any thoughts, questions, or suggestions that you'd like to share before we move on. Oh, Norm, yes.
Hi, Councillor, and thank you so much for putting this together. I think this is going to be fantastic. I love the way you laid it out. When you're thinking about it, is there a deadline? Are you thinking about a set amount of time that you expect us to be together? Is there some date that you're working towards?
Yes. So I think what you all will learn about our work is that we tend to, I like to say, I'm an organic organizer. And sometimes when we walk into spaces and places with this is how it's going to be, the world has a way of turning everything upside down. And so to answer your question in short, what we are hoping for is to have at least 6 months and where we're like workshopping and thinking through things and spending then another 6 months in the implementation and kind of like testing things out manner, right? Because I believe that whatever ideas we come up with, we're going to have to test them out a little bit before we can then move into this is going to be now a policy or protocol or a procedure that is then becomes instituted within the city. So I think that, my hope is that within the next 6 to 12 months, of our time together, we might be able to do all of those things. We do believe that in terms of time commitment, we are hoping to meet at least once a quarter. But what happens outside of that in some of our committee work, based on some of the issues that people want to tackle, that those committee may meet outside of the official space. And then when we gather as a group, we can kind of share some of the things that we're learning. So that is a framework. But we have not said this is the blueprint. This is how we're going to go. This is how we're going to get there, because we are still very new in the stages of even how we norm and conform and storm in group dynamics. And so I want to be mindful of that as well. But the goal is, I don't want to spend a lifetime trying to change these issues. I do want to figure out how we can test some things out and have a way to be reflective of the things that we're trying before we move. Now, that may take 3 months, that may take 6 months, that may take a year. We'll discover that as we go. I don't know if does that.
Yes, perfect. Thank you very much. That's great framework.
And I'm making it up as I go. So questions.
Nice job.
All right. I see Cristina. It says opening queue. I don't know how to do that, but you can speak. Kiara, somebody. I don't know how to open them up.
Yeah, Christina, the floor is yours. You're muted, by the way. So let me know if you need help figuring out how to unmute. Are you having trouble?
I can see her now. I see her hand. Let me see if I can help her. Oh no, I can't. Nothing. I can't do nothing for her.
So when you're on the Google Meet screen, if you go to the bottom list of controls, there should be the mic icon. Once you just press that, you should be unmuted.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Hi there. You may know, in the North End. And I guess my question is, are we hoping to come up with issues that are common to all the neighborhoods in order to come up with a solution? Because I'm sure all the neighborhoods have particular issues that, may not be the same across the city. So I guess my question is, are we hoping to find some common ground in order to come up with a common solution, I suppose is the question.
And it's a great question, because I am sure many of you here are probably wondering, how in the world are we going to fix every single quality of life issue that exists in 23 neighborhoods? We're not. What we will be doing, though, however, is that I think what I'm doing with another group that I'm working with right now is we are identifying big buckets of things and identifying where those things could live and tackling it from that perspective instead of saying we're gonna, like, there'll be just give you a big example. There will be a, like, you might think that trash might not be an issue of quality of life as it compares to loud parties, but those two things are equally important based on wherever you happen to live.
Right.
Right? Now, there could be another issue that relates to sanitation that is not related to trash, but there's a lot of, I'm just trying to think, another common thing that is sanitation-ish, but not trash. Another issue that falls within that realm of things that may not be like a public safety concern, but it is a quality of life concern. And I think that that could be a way for us to determine the where we're focusing our energy and how we execute against a particular issue. And I think that, Christina, and again, we're all going to be constructing this as we go. So this is just me sharing, thinking out loud as people are asking questions that I haven't had a chance to reflect myself on. But my thinking is that I think that there are enough common themes like pedestrian safety that no matter if you live in the North End or if you live in the South End, those are things that no matter where you live are things that people can relate to. Now, there are things that deal with the mopeds in downtown that look very different uptown, but those moped issues are still very much a nuisance regardless of what part of the city you live in. It might look different because in the Back Bay, in the downtown area, it's more about the delivery drivers. But in Dorchester, Roxbury, and Mattapan, it's more about how people are driving and young people and they're popping wheelies and doing all other stuff, right? Now, those are two very different scenarios, but it's within the same construct. So in our time together, my hope is to be able to identify and define things within buckets.
Okay. Are you hoping that we each create some buckets, and then when we come together, we see what common buckets we have, and we can kind of reduce the number of buckets?
Yes.
Once we get them, get the major issues out there and see which ones are most common for most people.
Yep. And and so when I said jokingly earlier this evening, when I said thank you for accepting the invitation for what I'm not going to call it a social experiment, but this is a process in which we are going on a journey, and it's a collective journey, right? And so I'm humble enough to say I don't have all the answers, and I'm not walking in with this is how it's going to go. I think it will ebb and flow based on how the work manifests in this group. So while this is an idea and a concept, I'm sure it'll morph us into other things as we continue to build it as a collective. Like I really want everyone who is engaging in this process to see themselves as the creators of what we're doing here. And so like it's an invitation for that.
Hi, Council. I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. It's George Chip Greenwich. I'm so glad to be here. And Councilor, thank you for your leadership, Ed's leadership, and the other councilor for putting this together. This has been something that's been on the minds of my neighbors and community members all throughout the whole summer, seeing all these different aspects of new moped drivers and fireworks. I live in Dorchester, and it's been like the talk on the neighborhood, on the street, and all that. But I just want to thank the City Council's leadership of just going forward and actually planning to do this. And Christina, I enjoy your conversation about North End. I would love to know what the issues are in the North End.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm serious. I
could
do.
give you a list.
No,
And I'm
that's
wondering, should we all put lists together, whether we call it a
Yes,
bucket or a
yes,
list,
yes,
if
but
we
for
create
me is that
lists.
even though I live in Dorchester, is that I do travel to the seaport many times during the week. I'm also in South Bay a lot, also in Mattapan and so forth. So I have concerns over all those neighborhoods and those safeties as I walk down the street throughout my whole day, as I travel throughout and also downtown area. So I just want us to feel comfortable of sharing all our different neighborhoods and the concerns, because we need to know about that. We hear about on TV, we hear about
I'd be very interested to hear what's going on in the other
like,
neighborhoods.
we hear about the North End. It's like, oh my God, there's more outdoor seating, all the traffic,
Oh,
la, 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 la. And we we know all these things, we hear about it, but we don't hear it from your voice.
that's right. I
You know
love
what I
that.
mean? So I'm
Right.
open for this. I want you to bring it. I want you to bring it hard. But I'm coming for this even though I do live in Dorchester and I do appreciate that, but I travel to all parts of the city. I'm always on the Silver Line, see many different people get on the Silver Line from downtown all the way up to so-and-so. So I hope that my voice can be the eyes of seeing all those people that are hardworking, going to work and all that little stuff to make sure they have an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I appreciate the exchange. And I think this is why I love working in community, is because I really do believe, and I'm going to go next to, somebody keeps coming in and out. I'm going to have Kiara help me identify who goes next. But
I just want to show Ed Flynn. I know you just jumped on. This is Chip Greenwich Kane. How you doing, sir? I just want to say that, and I was showing that to Christine over there, is that, I'm very much concerned what's going on down in the downtown neighborhood, in the South Boston neighborhood, and also in the South Bay neighborhood in Mattapan. I travel all these different places. And so Christina was pushing, should I just talk about the North End? No, I want to hear about all these different places, because I'm very concerned of people getting hurt downtown. And I see you busting your butt, Ed, saying, listen, this has got to stop. Come on, people. This is where all our money is being made, and all this other people want to be safe going downtown. And we have only one of the working downtowns in this nation. You go to other downtowns, ain't nobody there. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to say that, and I just want to thank Ed and Julia and the other counselor on here for their fantastic leadership of just getting this together and getting it not as a silo. This is a downtown problem. This is a Roxbury.
Y'all gonna see me do this when y'all start seeing me doing this. I'm gonna be like, "Yep, we got you. We heard you."
All right, good.
But we're not going. We're gonna be okay right now. And I love you for that, George. And I really do think it's important for us to model that type of energy and community with each other, because I know we're here to talk about the task force, and I keep promising Kiara and other people, but I grew up in Dorchester, and there were places that I had never even been outside of Dorchester, right? And so we tend to be very neighborhood centric. I believe that this task force journey is going to give us an opportunity to see what other folks in other parts of the city are experiencing as it deals with quality of life. And maybe we could learn about how we can work collaboratively, not just on quality of life issues, but on other things that we deeply care about. This is an invitation for something bigger than maybe just these issues, right? And I think both George and Christina really bring something to light, is that at the end of the day, no matter where we live, we all care about living healthy lives and having, feeling emotionally and physically safe. So I do appreciate the energy, and I look forward to creating those opportunities for us to really learn and be with each other. And Christina, to answer your question, I will have Kiara put together a form that everyone's going to fill out, and then we're going to do ranked choice voting. Y'all going to get to pick your top 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can put your issues in the order of preference, and then we can figure some things out. And then when we meet again, we can just continue to workshop things. Okay. All right. So Kiara, can you help me with who was next? Because I did see another hand and then it disappeared on my screen.
Yes, Kalamu, do you still have a question, or would you like to say a question? It doesn't have to be by unmuting. You could also just send it in the chat if that's what you feel more comfortable with. But please let us know if you would like to say something.
Oh, sorry, I was having trouble unmuting there. I was gonna ask about how we were identifying issues, but you guys just touched on that. But I'm Kalamo Kieta from Roxbury. How's everybody doing?
Yay. All right. Thank you. Oh, we have another hand raised. I saw it and then it went away. Kiara, you're gonna have to do that part.
It's me. It's me. I just wanted to just say a note of thanks for bringing this group together. My name is Aaron Gray. I live in Dorchester, and I've been a resident of Boston for just under 2 years. And I came from Madison, Wisconsin, and then prior to that lived in Minneapolis. And so I've seen a cross section of different cities, smaller and larger. And one thing I will say about my interactions with the Boston City Council and just public office in general is how responsive folks have been. A couple of examples I will give is I put in a request to have speed bumps put on my street, and they were actually put in. I asked for crosswalks to be repainted. They were actually repainted. And so it just gives me a lot of hope. I know there's a lot to navigate with bringing us all to consensus, but like George, I live in Dorchester, but I walk through Roxbury, Mission Hill, and the LMA to get to work every day. I walk there and back to the LMA. And so I traverse a good chunk of the city, and I think we'll have more in common than we do as far as departures. So as we kind of embark on the work, I just wanted to offer those sort of hopeful notes, and I'm glad to come together with the group. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. I'm so inspired. Y'all are okay. Y'all got over all the trauma that we caused you with the technical issues, and y'all are still hanging tight. I love it. Now, Norm, what neighborhood you from? I'm sorry, I didn't get that part.
Seaport.
Okay, Seaport. Okay, so we got representation. And actually, you've been busy in the chat. I saw something. You from where you live at?
I was just saying thank you for showing us how to put all the pictures up. But I second what Chip said. You know, as you said, travels through the Seaport, travels through all parts of the city. I think many of us do, and so I think we will find a lot of common problems to share and hopefully solve.
Yeah.
And I'm originally from Detroit, but I've lived in East Boston and I've lived here in Brighton now the last 2 years. But really share other people's sentiments of like being able to get around the whole city and feeling like the whole city is like something that I really care about, and not just my neighborhood. Even though I'm not in East Boston anymore, it's still really important to me. And just hopeful to see how everybody comes together with their concerns.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you know, I always talk about unintended consequences, right? Like sometimes we have like, this is what it's gonna be. And then all these amazing unintended consequences come as a result of our time together, right? So I do believe, and especially what we're hearing here, I envision that this task force will morph us into so many other things. I mean, don't get excited or don't quit on me just yet. But like, I even envision us doing a little walking tour. Like, you know, we'll go from the north end to the south end, and we can all just experience each other's neighborhoods and learn and see. I think, you know, maybe you all may not want to sign up for all of that, but for those who want to go on little tours, we can do that. But I think whatever it takes for us to really get to some consensus building, to Christina's point, because I really do want, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, that you all feel like we got something done, because nobody has time to go to another meeting about something else that we're going to complain about. No, not with me. We're here to do the work, and we're going to make some things happen, and we want to do it in ways that you all are shaping what that looks like. And I think that has to be a part of the framework. And I hope that you understand that I'm not going to have all the answers, and I don't want to have all the answers, because I believe that the best solutions come from the people who are doing the work, and the best questions come from you all, because it pushes us to think about things that we weren't even thinking about. So keep them coming, because it really informs our work. Now, thanks to Christina, we're going to have a form that we're going to send out. Now we have a way for you all to do ranked choice voting. Like, we are making progress. already, and we haven't even really got started. So without further ado, the woman of the hour, the reason why we're all here, the one who brought us all together and did all of the amazing work, this is our task force leader, Kiara. You now have the floor.
Thank you so much, Counselor, and thank you all for being here today and taking the time to make our communities better. Please let me know if you can't hear me too well, then I could try to do something. But again, thank you all for being here. And just so that I don't want to take up too much of your time, but we do have a couple other things that I want us to talk about. And that is just to get us all on the same page about what quality of life is. There are many different definitions of what quality of life is and what it means to us. We're all different. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different experiences. And I just want to make sure that we all have the same definition of what quality of life means so that we have this one common thing that we can refer back to. So feel free to raise your hand, unmute, use a chat, whatever you feel comfortable with. But let's start off with a question. How do we define quality of life? What does it mean to you? What do you think it can mean to other people? Let's just set one standard definition of what it is, and then we can move on. We can build on that from there. Is anyone feeling brave enough to go first? Again, if you don't want to unmute or raise your hand, please feel free to use the chat, whatever you feel comfortable with.
I'm happy to jump in and just say soundscape. I think that's one every single person has mentioned, is just noise. And then I think of safety and green space as well.
Thank you for sharing. Melinda, I see that you have your hand up.
Yep. Yeah, hi. You wanted a definition of quality of life, right?
Yes. How do you define quality of life, and how do you think other people might also define it?
The way I think of quality of life is very medical, okay? It's one thing to have a person be able to function in the city, go to work, come home, etc. But when you look at it, great. Well, the cost of rent's too high. Okay, the commute is an hour and a half for only 5 miles on the on the orange line, but now it's better now. And the quality, being able to live in an area where the school is close to for your kids is close, or how to get them into schools within the district. All of those things sort of, it's still the same thing. You got to get up, you got to go to work, you got to come home, you got to take care of your family. But all of those aspects of how to get there, that to me is what quality of life is.
Much for sharing. Sarah, I believe your hand. Yes, Sarah, you have the floor.
Thanks. I'd say quality of life is the set of factors that that influence how healthy and happy people can be.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me see. Oh no, that was me raising my hand. All right, Rosemary.
Hi, I live in the Back Bay, and I am an avid walker and cyclist, and it feels like the neighborhood is just getting crushed right now with we have many bike lanes, which are great, but they are prolific in the neighborhood right now. And as I said, I'm also a huge avid walker. I walk with my grandchildren all the time in strollers, and between bikes not stopping when they should, scooters not stopping when they should, it's gotten I've lived here for 12 years. It's gotten, I feel, quite dangerous for pedestrians in this local area. And so I think for me, the quality of life issue has to start with street safety. That's all I've got.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yay, Rosemary.
Ashley, I think is next.
Thank you.
Yes. I really resonated with Melita and Sarah's description of quality of life, just thinking about all the different factors that impact. I also think about access to things that will improve your quality of life. And if you don't have access to things that you feel can improve that, then the other factors maybe don't matter as much, or not that they don't matter, but what is it if other people have access to those things but you don't? And so looking at equity in that space as well when we're thinking about quality of life.
Edie?
Hi, everyone. When I think of quality of life, I think about, of course, safety, but health-wise, community-wise, and just the ability to be able to thrive in the community or your environment that you're from is one of the top things that impact a person's quality of life. So, yeah.
Christina
Yes.
Busa?
Now I know how to turn the mic on. I have to agree with what everyone has said. I'm very fortunate. I live and work in my neighborhood. I don't own a car, so I walk everywhere or take the T. And safety, just crossing the street these days, has really become a challenge between the scooters and the bikes and the people running red lights and so forth. That is, peace of mind when you go out and walk around and having people around you who respect your space, respect the neighborhood, respect each other, common courtesy in terms of just people paying attention to where they are, what they're doing, and the other people around them. So that, for me, is really important.
I think that's something I see a lot of nods, and it's something that has been brought up several times. But yeah, I agree. Safety is big. It's very important. Next we have Didi and Christina. Have you raised your hand again, or?
I think Elsa's next, and then people are saying things and it's popping up and then it's going away. So I think there's people responding in the chat too, if you want to, but Elsa, I think you were next.
I just wanted to tell you something, but that I don't have the chat because I'm on my phone. There is no chat. That's why my hand's back up.
Oh, there's no chat.
I can figure out how you can see that, and I'll let you know. But after Elsa speaks, and after we're done with, after everyone who wanted to unmute and raise their hand, I can also read a couple things from the chat. The chat will hopefully no more tech issues, but if it saves, that will also be shared. So.
Yeah, and then the people who don't have access to the chat will go right back to you if you've already spoken. So I just wanted to note that for the record. Okay, I think Elsa's next.
Hello, I'm Elsa. I'm from East Boston. I work in Mattapan, but I also have family all throughout Boston. When I think of quality of life, I think of community and traditions and ways to celebrate each other and be in communion. Something that's predictable. I also think of more spaces for children. I am a teacher, however, so I know I'm a little bit biased in that way, but I do think of children and having more spaces for children to be able to have different avenues and explore STEM, explore tech, and just have more opportunities to just also be in community with other people.
you so much for sharing. Dee Dee, did you raise your hand again, or do you also can't see the chat?
Oh, I raised my hand again. I'm sorry. Do you
Oh,
want me to
if
wait for someone else to go first? Because I can't
just
see who
Yeah, I
is
think
raised.
Christina, I think Melendez was on I thought I saw her name pop up and then it went away. Oh, you could see it here. It's gone.
For the chat, if you are unable to see the chat, thank you so much, Shadeen, for letting us all know. But the bottom menu of your screen, you should be able to see 3 dots. Once you press it, go to in-call messages, and they should all be there.
Wow.
If that doesn't work, let me know, and I could read a couple.
Yeah, can you read a couple just in case, because everybody is not as savvy right now. At least I'm not gonna name names, but I know I'm not. So read a few.
So someone said, I think quality of life in a city is about having a limited number of unnecessary things that cause stress on the residents. Someone else, my mother, who is 83, is saying, why is there traffic until 9 p.m.? He lives in Mission Hill. Someone else said, for me, quality of life is about taking a holistic, integrated approach that balances material well-being with social, psychological, and cultural factors. To achieve a high quality of life for the disproportionately impacted, it's essential to ensure access to resources, push for systemic change, empower communities, and stay committed to justice and equity.
Who said that? Let me find out. I want to know who said that. Name yourself.
That was me, guys.
Who was that?
Christina Melendez.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw your name and then wow. Let me find out you Googled all that. I'm just joking. That's good.
Did.
She did the whole holistic approach and thank you for that. Now, Malik, you've been in other events and things that I've done, so you already know how we roll, and I appreciate you being so thoughtful. As a new mom being in the space, organizing and multitasking, so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Some other comments are adding physical and mental health, sense of community, and social relationships. Also, ability to afford to raise a family in the same community that you were raised in. So that I think that also relates to generational wealth and just making sure that you're able, not that you're able, that you're not displaced, which it relates to, I forget who said it, the cost of rent and how expensive Boston is. It's an issue that has been brought up several times in the past. So that's definitely something that does very much affect quality of life. Clean air, safe streets, green space. I think that is it. Oh, there's a couple more.
Wow, that's great. Now,
Quality
Ashley,
of life. Oh, sorry. Level of enjoyment, comfort, and health in someone's life.
it was great. Oh, and George.
Oh, sorry.
Are we going to be able to save these? This is like, I know with Zoom, Ashley, I'm sure you probably know. Can we save the chat while we're at it? Because I know on Zoom you can save it. I don't know what happens here, but if quality of life is the level of enjoyment, comfort, health in someone's life. My biggest issue is the preference is given to developers over residents. Okay, you all, let me find out. And we got Beatrix is also Beatrix Knight, who has not said much, running court in the background is part of our team. We really do appreciate Beatrix, what helped us establish our town hall, the first that we had, and worked alongside other staff members to make it happen. So Beatrix, we appreciate you being here. I just wanted to acknowledge that you've been taking notes, and even if we can't save these things, you can cut and paste it. I'm sure there's ways to do that here. Oh, yep, I can cut. Oh, yep, you can, you could cut and paste it, all the notes. Okay, all right, so Kiara, well, you wanna put a button on that and then we can.
I did look it up really quickly. I don't think there will be any more tech issues because the meeting is being recorded, so the chat should also save. So fingers crossed that's how it works. But Dee Dee, would you like to say anything or?
And Melinda too.
Oh, yes, sorry, I'm in transit, so I can't type in the chat. I just wanted to say that I think it's also important when we're having these discussions to come up with definitions of the words too, because I hear a lot about safety, but I think for me anyway, some of the things that I hear people talk about for safety isn't the same safety that I'm referring to. So I think that that might be important. Just because when I hear safety and then people are bringing up the moped things, that's a concern for me too, but it's more like a secondary concern. I'm like concerned about, you know, the unhoused, people being able to access healthy food, the quality of education and the safeness for the children in our public schools, inclusion, you know, safety looks real different when you're in your neighborhood and then it's gentrified and you don't feel like you belong. I don't know how safe, you know, some of us feel. So that's when I say safety, that's what I mean. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. That's a really good point, Dee Dee. And I think one of the things that in our time together, really getting laser clear and focused in terms of kind of like defining like our mission and vision and getting clear about what type of safety. And one of the things that I've been saying less of and switching my language is I've been talking more about community safety, not public safety, because there's also emotional safety, there's physical safety, there is, you know, all these other, like where you're going to sleep at night and whether or not you feel safe even just being, right? So I think all of those things need to take a time for us to define. I think that as I'm hearing folks, I think that there are issues of community safety that deal with like pedestrian and like moped and noise and quality of life issues in that big construct of things. And to, I think it was Christina earlier was asking us, how do we like pick the issues? I think that this is an opportunity for us as a task force to really think about different buckets. Like there are like quality of life issues that deal with housing, that deal with a host of other things that don't pertain to actual laws, if you will, like public safety, like that are things that are done to us, basically, that have nothing to do with like violence or a stoplight or things of that nature. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense, but what I'm trying to articulate, so let me land the plane here, is that when we're defining quality of life issues, that quality of life, like to your point, looks different depending on what your journey is and how you're walking in that life, right? And then there are other issues that deal with things that are more systemic and more that's going to take us a little bit of more organizing, if you will, to address, like the cost of living, the cost of food, the cost of the type of education that our children are receiving or not, right? The wages. There are things that make it difficult for people to have a quality of life, and those issues need just as equally as much attention, because then those issues then spill out into some of the things that we want to talk about as well, which is some of the violence, some of the other factors that come as a result of some of the quality of life issues that we should be having some, I'm not saying control over, but like agency around. Does that make sense, Dee Dee? I think that should be part of our exercise here, is also looking at short-term things that we can fix and then the long-term systemic things that get in the way of people's quality, quote unquote. I'm doing this in air marks because quality of life issues are very much present even in the conversation that we're having right now. Does that make sense to y'all? Is that vibing?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I also want to.
Melinda
Go ahead,
had-
Melinda.
Go ahead, Kiara, and then I'll talk.
I was just going to point out quickly something that Ashley said in the chat. Thank you for that comment. It's a really good comment. So she said, I work in campus violence prevention, and something that we've shifted to, instead of talking about safety, framing things as to what makes us feel more or less safe, because it can be a continuum. I think that's a really good comment, because safety, just like in quality of life and a lot of other things, safety means different things to all of us. Again, it matters what your background is, what your lived experiences are, and how you feel. Everyone feels differently in different environments. So I think it is important to note that it doesn't, the same one definition, even though we're trying to find some sort of like one definition to rely on, it means different things to all of us. And that's also an important perspective to look at and think about when we're having these conversations. That's what I was going to say. So Melinda, the floor is yours.
Okay. Everybody call me Mel. My name is Melida. Okay.
I'm so
call me Mel.
sorry.
No problem. What I was going to say is it's also important to take the perspective of others. And I'm disabled and I'm getting close to 60. So both elder issues and disability quality of life issues can be very different than somebody, let's say they're in college, or let's say you're a working family and you have children. So it's really important as we hear each other talk about, like, let's say the North End versus Rosendale versus Dorchester, we're trying to put ourselves into their shoes in terms of where they live, but also remember the different categories. I especially I'm really big on this for disability, for the disabled, because this year, this is the second time it's happened. I fell on a sidewalk, a city sidewalk, and I ended up with a broken elbow and a broken knee. So that happened to me a while back. So, but I know that when I was in a wheelchair, I can't get down the sidewalks. So I just usually, if it's like snow or whatever, I'll wheel myself in the street, but I also know I'm taking my life into my own hands. So, there are all these quality of life issues we don't think about that other people are going through as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. And I think I know this is our first meeting, and this is why I love community and creating space for community, right? Is because I think that oftentimes we're not walking in other people's shoes, as they say, but when we get to hear other people's perspective and understand the little things that we oftentimes take for granted, it really helps us ground ourselves in what collective work looks like. So I just want to say thank you for everyone who has shared so much of themselves in a very intimate, and well, not an intimate because it's going to be on YouTube, but like in our first time spending time together like this, that this is what it should look like, and I am grateful for those folks who have already shared a little bit of themselves with us. So thank you for that. And so Kiara, did I miss it? Did you read the definition? Or you were going to?
Yeah, so from what I've heard so far, what we've all heard, not just me, what we've all heard so far is that we need to also define what exactly safety means to us and what kind of safety we're talking about. That's another definition that we need to define. But for quality of life, I've heard street and pedestrian safety come up a lot. Cost of living, there's a word for it, but I'm forgetting it at the moment. It's not cost of living, but cost of living in Boston. I'll write this down because I'm gonna forget it. So education, street and pedestrian safety, cost of living, and if there's something that is falling between the cracks, please let me know. But these are the ones that have come up the most from what everyone has said. So quality of life means having good education for you and your family. Gentrification, thank you so much for pointing that out. Gentrification, also a big one. So quality of life means having a good education, which also means different things to different people, but I think there's like noise pollution too. Another one. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to add pollution in general just because someone else also mentioned green spaces. So just your physical environment. I'll put that down, and I think that sort of touches on noise pollution, other like trash pollution, and green spaces.
Yeah. And I know Ashley has her hand up.
Yeah, I think Kiara, like what I hear you saying too is something that I think Sarah said at the beginning. It's just about the different factors that impact quality of life, and that with so many different things being listed, that it's not like each of those individual things, but just the collective of those factors. And then I think even like what Christina said in the chat, like make up a pretty strong definition of thinking about those factors and like the justice and equity behind how those factors are experienced.
Yeah, I love that. And also Sarah says in the chat, now that I know how to use the chat, y'all, you see how we're learning here? Sarah says, it's on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, it says, if I were to list all the issues that affect quality of life, I still wouldn't have a definition of it. What affects quality of life? Safety of vulnerable road users, noise pollution, air quality, recreation opportunities, access to health care. The list could be endless. And I think that that is definitely something for us as we continue our work together is, and to the point that Ashley is helping us make here in terms of rounding things out, that I think remaining open to the understanding that not one definition is going to fit all. And that if we can work under some buckets and some themes, I think that we can, when we meet again, actually, I'm not going to wait until we meet 3 months from now. I know I did say that, but we will be meeting a little bit in the beginning more than every 3 months. I think we need a little bit of more time together so that we can continue to spend quality time together so that we can develop things. So the quarterly thing is gonna happen later in our time together, not in the beginning. Just want you to know I'll be every other month maybe with y'all, or once a month until we get some things organized here. But I think what we should do is, Kiara, create that Google Doc, right? List some of the things that we heard. To Christina's point earlier this evening, when we can do like ranked choice voting in terms of kind of like not just the issues, but also kind of how we want to define ourselves. Like we could start even building our own mission and vision based on some, like putting some words together. Maybe you could share a few examples of the things that people constructed here, and we could share that with you all. And we define for ourselves what this task force is going to do and organize around as it relates to quality of life issues that is defined by this group. Does that sound like a good way forward? And I see a hand went up and then it went back down.
Yes, Kalamu, your hand is up.
And I see thumbs
I
up
have
too.
a question, and sort of a question and a suggestion. Firstly, I'm at a miss, but I wasn't sure how the length and time we'll be meeting for. I know we're meeting like once a season, I think, but for how many seasons? And then the suggestion I had was that once we, I guess I guess this is kind of a question and suggestion as well. I feel like, I forget who made the point, but it was a good point. There's, about an endless amount of quality of life issues you could pinpoint, especially in a city like Boston. Um, but I feel like we should really try to think to narrow it down to something feasibly realistic to address with the time we have. That was all.
Yeah, no, as an organizer, I think I love that because it's really important for us to have small wins, right? Things that we can fix, things that we as a task force that we can change, whether it is just the amount of time that the red lights are on, right? Like just we can name some things that we can tackle. And then I think Elsa in the chat talked about some of the long-term systemic issues. I think those things also deserve some attention. And I think what this task force can potentially do as we continue to build it is that there could be some immediate things that we all rally around and organize and work towards as we then also are unpacking other areas and layers of things that also need attention that do impact the quality of life, but take a lot more organizing to address. And so I think within the year, I think we should have some short-term goals and things that we can win while also having the long vision of some of, not all of the systemic issues, y'all, because I'm not trying to sign up for that. I am not trying to set anybody up for failure here, but maybe we could tackle one as a group or as a one for now. And we could just, if we can then win and then use that same template for other issues. Like I'm saying a year, but this work might take longer than that, right? And some of y'all will stay for the duration of it, and some of y'all be like, deuces, I fixed that street light that was annoying me. I'm good, I'm done. And some of y'all will be like, nah, I really want to go hard on this issue because the education system is crumbling and we need to attack. Either like we will go wherever the energy goes. But what we want to do is make sure that we are committed to addressing what initially brought you all here together as it relates to some of the things that have been persistent in the city. And you may have come here for other things that are not specific to the mopeds and the noise and the street pedestrian safety issues, but there are other issues that are going to take a little bit longer. And those are the issues that we need to make commitments to tackle those with the understanding that those are bigger to deal with. So I want to be honest with the process. So I hope I answered your question, Elsa, in a way that doesn't give you false hopes of what we can do within the constructs that we have to work with. I think we're figuring it out. We'll tackle them because some of these things may be systemic, even within the constructs of short-term goals that we might discover. You know, even how people pick up the phone or don't pick up the phone when you call 311, right? Like how quickly something gets answered. Like those are all very systemic issues that may not be about housing, but those are things that we can tackle too. Okay, so I see Ashley, you have your hand up, and then Beatrix.
I was just thinking that it feels like really good, and I kind of feel lucky that we are able to have this like conversation in a really positive way. And I know Kiara, in your messages to us, you talked about how you're gonna monitor the chat and the messages that come when these get posted. But I know that people aren't always gonna kind of frame what quality of life is like for them in the terms and in the way that we're talking about it right now. And like, what is our responsibility kind of in being able to dissect when people, like, there's a message there, even if it's not framed in the right way, and it comes off hateful or disrespectful, and like trying to be able to capture those things, and even making sure that like those things aren't like uplifted in the wrong way.
I would say with those public comments, usually, or at least what in my experience, what I've seen is that when people say things, they might, so people aren't just going to lie and then just say stuff just to say stuff. Usually when people comment on, like, for example, if someone were to comment on this meeting after seeing it on YouTube, they're not going to watch over like an hour and a half plus meeting
Well, there might
and
be
then just someone might do it. Someone might watch the full meeting and then just say stuff to say stuff. But I think that people, if they take that time and they could be using that time to do anything else. If they take that time to make a comment and that comment isn't framed in the same way as you mentioned as the way that we're framing these issues and the way that we're speaking about them, that just speaks to their level of discontent and how maybe they have felt like they're not, like their voices aren't heard or that they aren't happy with the way that things are going. And I still think that even if it's not framed the way that we would like it to be, it's still a very valid comment and it still is something that we want to bring to the table and make sure that we look at. If someone is not happy with the way that, for example, 311 is working, we want to make sure that we can see, okay, what do you think could be improved about 311 and what can we do to change it and make it more accessible or make it just better? You know, there's nothing is perfect. There's always room for improvement. And if someone isn't happy with the way that a public service is working, that is a discussion that is worth having and worth bringing up. So I think that in terms of how, I don't know if this is exactly what you wanted me to answer, but when I'm monitoring those comments, and hopefully we get a lot, yes, I will be emailing the YouTube link. So if you would like, please do share with everyone so that they could all have an opportunity to see all of you guys. But I will be monitoring that and I'll see what issues come up and what issues have been mentioned. And then I will let you guys know these are the issues that other people have brought up. They might be the same issues that you're all bringing up right now. They might be a little different. There might be something that you hadn't even thought of that affects you or that doesn't affect you that you didn't know about, but now it's something that you're noticing, or it could be anything like that. I will just make sure to bring those issues to you guys because we want your input and what you all think. So having, not all and not everyone's experiences are going to be captured in this task force, but we want to make sure that as many voices as possible are included, even if that's just through YouTube comments or just word of mouth. We want to make sure that everyone has a say because we all live here and we all want the best for Boston and all of its residents.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
And I was just gonna add, I don't know what's happening. I paired myself up with George. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, unpair me. But actually, I was gonna say, is that I think what Kiara, what we're trying to model here is that not everyone is going to agree with how we move or how we define how we're going to be moving, but it's important to create space for people to be able to be fully expressed, right? And what I think would be a really good exercise for us to do is have these definitions, go through a consensus building process, and something that we can all live with the understanding that not everyone's going to feel like they've won or that they've lost, that we're going to come to something that feels right, group that we are working with. And I think that that is part of our journey together, because learning how to do that with people from diverse experiences and neighborhoods and or desires and needs is going to be part of our learning journey together. And so I think one of the norms, and we didn't do norms normally, norming, storming, and conforming, I joked about that, but there are group dynamics that we should consider in terms of our time together and how we continue to build and share space with one another so that we can come with some also group agreements, which we didn't do this time. And as we continue to build in our relationships and our time together, we'll formalize those things so that people know how to show up for each other. Does that feel
Yeah, that captured a lot of what I was thinking, both what you and Kiara just said. And like just thinking about how it's just not always gonna sound like this way. We're not always going to be kind to each other. And then I'm glad that you're validating that we will like try to make sure that is the case and how we're talking about this issue of like developing group agreements in this way.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing that oh, sorry, counselor.
No, I know. George had his hand. I mean, Chip. Look, he says George, but he's George Chip Greenwich. I don't know why he's trying to change his name and work with his government name here, but Chip had his hand up earlier, and I'm not sure if you you want to say something.
George Chip Greenwich, yes, thank you. No, I don't have anything to say. I just wanted to say keep on. I love this whole conversation. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, Beatrix, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to add is just a suggestion for us moving forward. I was thinking, because I've copied everything from the chat and we've been taking notes the whole time, and I think that this was a really productive conversation. And so I think maybe an idea for creating those definitions of quality of life, but then also how are we defining safety and things like that, that maybe our team, like Kiara and I, can work together to synthesize everything that we heard and come up with like a rough draft of a definition. And then next meeting that the entire group can workshop and wordsmith those definitions so that we have some language to work with, and we can use language from what we heard tonight and pull that all together. And then we have a starting place to then edit and move things around, add things, combine them, whatever we need to do. But I was wondering if that might help procedurally with coming up with a definition as a whole group.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, everybody's like gushing over your cat right now, Ashley, okay? Everybody's like, kudos. What's your cat's name? Might as well. Everybody, all means all up in here. What's your cat's name?
Her name is Eve Villanelle Perlastri.
Eve Villanelle, what?
Perlastri. She's named after the TV show Killing Eve.
Oh, okay. See, everybody, if you got pets, the next time I want to see, I got a Shih Tzu, but he's over there. But okay, so yes, all right. Yes, I do love that framing. I think, in the interest of I think reflection is really important and part of journeys when we're group building, right? So all of what Beatrix said, but I would love not wait until we meet again in a group. I'd like for you all to do some reflection and have an opportunity to really think through and share. Maybe I don't know, word cloud, or there's all these different apps right now that we can use to build things, not AI though, but like, other things, that we can figure out how we create a collaborative document of sorts, right? Where people can drop in notes, but that I feel like if it might get a little bit too messy, or there's another way for us to word cloud it. Beatrix, let's share some sort of mechanism in which people can actually, suggest their own mission and vision, like that you all can write some things and then we could share that. We can, create like a little, I know Latinos do that a lot. We have a little WhatsApp chats that we create and everybody's in a chat, right? Or like, there's different ways we can create like a little group chat on Google platforms. I don't know. There's ways for us to be in communication with each other. And I'm going to leave that up to Kiara and Beatrix to figure out what that communication looks like. But I think for our first time together, and in the interest of making sure that we end on time and not hold you hostage any longer, because public safety #1 is making sure that everybody can have a good quality of life. And if anyone wants to we're gonna email you all like the next date and time that we're gonna be meeting, the notes that we took, the YouTube link, and some viable next steps and some things that we're gonna ask you to do between now and when we meet again. Okay, so will go out by the end of this week. If knowing Kiara, probably you have it by Thursday. But anyways, at some point this week you'll get that. but I'd love to like kind of close us out a little bit and spend a little bit of time that we have left together. Just if there are any, like, how do you feel leaving? What things, you know, reflection. I usually tell people, tell me one word of how you're feeling, but I don't know if y'all feel like y'all talk too much and y'all just want to go, y'all can do that too. But I just would love to just close out. I just want to thank Kiara, first of all, Kiara, for just how much leadership you poured into this, and Beatrix for your help and supporting Kiara in this. You know, Kiara just graduated from BLS and now she's already running task force, and I love to see this, and you've given so much leadership to this, so thank you. And Councillor Flynn, you know, you stayed here throughout the entire meeting, and you know that that does not go unnoticed, and we're deeply appreciative. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to, you know, you've been listening and hearing, and you know, kind of kick us off with some of your reflections.
Well, thank you, Julia. It's good to be with everybody, and also want to say thank you to Kiara and Beatrix also for the important work that they are doing. I listened closely to comments that residents made, and what I got out of this meeting is I have my own definition of public safety, but listening to residents, you know, it provided me a different perspective on what their views are. I mean, my view is my view, but I'm not saying mine is right. But I learned a lot from residents tonight, because listening to you makes me a better elected official, because I have a different perspective now on words, on phrases, on what public safety actually means. And it's not about me as an elected official, it's about our constituents. So I just want to leave you with that listening to you tonight was more helpful to me than actually speaking. So thank you, Julia, and thank you to thank you to your team for putting this important discussion together.
Thank you. Oh, you know, I'm not gonna let y'all go ever, right? Okay, no. Anyone else want to? Thank you so much. Like, that is what this work is all about, is for us to listen and learn from those that we serve and then do something about it. So you said that exactly. Anyone else want to share how they're feeling? I know we got a lot of things on the chat, but I would love anyone who is interested in sharing how they feel leaving here. People throwing up little signs that people can see those things. I'm not sure. I know I could, but how y'all feeling? Anyone else want to talk? People
People in the chat have said hopeful, curious, connected in community, energized, tired but inspired, hopeful, curious again. But if you feel comfortable only putting stuff in the chat, please feel free. If you would like to unmute, also feel free. I know that for me, I am feeling also hopeful and excited for the future and what we're going to do in this task force.
Yeah, I feel grateful. To be honest, I never know what's going to happen, and I live like that. So I never know when you're bringing a whole group of strangers together, how the world will just manifest into something beautiful like this. So I'm incredibly grateful that you all have signed up to be in community with each other in this way, and grateful that you trust us to build this type of space. Because somebody said, you know, thank you for the safe space. Like, you know, it means the world to us that we were able to create an environment where people who have different beliefs and experiences and thoughts can share openly. So that goes to your ability to create space for each other, and less about what we did. Is how you showed up for each other that really made the difference here, and how you embraced one another. So I just want to say thank you for showing up the way that you did, without any group norms, because normally we got to give people norms. It's how you act, and you know, but y'all didn't need that. So we're already ahead of the game here. So I just want to say thank you, and I'm feeling incredibly grateful. So With that, I'm gonna give you back 15 minutes of your life. Aren't you happy? Unless y'all want to stay here for the after party. I don't know about y'all, but like, are we good? Are we feeling good? We ready to, this is gonna be a journey, and I am grateful. And Kiara will follow up and work with Beatrix and send you all some tools and some homework, and we're gonna keep building. And we have the whole winter to do this work, and then we'll hopefully we can meet in person. I don't know if you are into that sort of stuff, but like, I'd love to do some in-person stuff that, we can build, and maybe we can visit each other's neighborhoods, do a little regional walk, Anyways, let me shut up, because if not, I will overwhelm you with 101 ideas that you do not want to hear about right now. So I'm going to end with gratitude and thank you.